Hello, everybody, and welcome to this All You Need Is a Ball webinar, where today I am joined by the legendary pioneer within the freestyle industry, Mr. Tobias Becs. Tobias,
Hello,
thanks
everyone.
for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry for calling you Tobias Becs. I just kind of think that everyone seems to refer you still as that, right? Even though it's not your full name.
I think that's perfect. Like
Is
using
okay?
my real name, Tobias Brandal Busaet, is kind of hard. So I think it's
All good.
good to use my nickname, Tobias Becs.
Love it. Okay. So thank you for joining us today. The purpose of this webinar is I wanted to reveal a bit of your story so that you can tell the wider football world here a bit about you, where you've come from, what's motivated you to do what you do within the freestyle world, but also the wider football world. I know for a fact you've been innovating for many years in with the ball, without the ball. There's loads of things going on in your life. So yeah, I'm super excited to get this captured for the world to see. And at the end, we're going to come on to a bit more of a few tips and support ideas for parents, especially on how to help their kids develop, especially through these times where there's a lot more time being spent at home. A coach can't be there all the time for kids. That's the fact of the world. Yet a coach is one of the key role models in a kid's development as a player or as a person. So what we want to do today is hopefully give you a few more ideas on how you could do this from home with some of the aids that Tobias has created himself. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So to begin with, Tobias, I will stop talking.
Yes.
Please, could you give us tell us your story. Where did it begin for you? How did you get into freestyle? What motivated you?
Well, it started with football, like many other freestylers. It starts with football, and I was very interested in the technical part of football. And because of that, I wanted to start doing tricks and dribbles and stuff like that, just to be a better technical football player. And about that time, YouTube started to become quite big, and I saw a few commercials, like the Nike commercials, and also other videos where people did different kind of tricks. But the first time I was really shocked by a trick was when Palle did a double around the world. And that was also, I think, a Nike commercial where you hit the ball out of the camera, and then you kind of, another guy catches it. And I wasn't sure if it was real or not. And I started to do some research around YouTube, and I found all these tricks and a really small community, and eventually ended up at some forums and looked at tricks. I saw they had names, and this really fascinated me because I've never been like a gamer in a way, but I was really hooked on the way that you could do sports, but then also really clearly see the progress of your game. Because in football, I felt like I was training a lot every day, but I never really got any feedback if I was better today than tomorrow. And that was something that was missing. So I started doing freestyle just to become a better football player, but I got hooked because it was such a cool thing to be able to level up kind of every day. And in the beginning, when you first learn your first trick and then you start learning more, you kind of just get addicted to it, and there's kind of like never a ending level. You can always level up, and that was something that was really capturing me. And also that it was a community that I didn't know of. So I started back in 2005 and started training a lot, and I ended up quitting football and decided that I wanted to put my dream to become a professional football player to the side, just because I enjoyed freestyle football much more. And I never in a million years thought I was going to make any kind of money from doing freestyle, but I was just so in love with the sport, and the community was such a cool community. And I started traveling when I was really young, competing. And when you just then met all these people, it was something that I never wanted to stop doing. And then eventually I saw that I could also make a living from doing performances. And yeah, fast forward to today, that's what I do for a living.
Amazing. That's really good. The one really critical part there, I think, that jumps at me is the the belief or the desire to learn more that you get. Do you think you had that before, or do you think that was something that by starting freestyle, you developed that, what is it? It's a belief in yourself to always progress each day. That progression, did you feel you had that mentality before you started?
I definitely think that I've been a person that really get hooked on something, so I don't give up. And I do think that that is maybe why we see some people never really get into freestyle, because the barrier is a bit higher than normal football. You just kick a ball. It doesn't matter if you're good or not, but with freestyle, you actually need to learn to juggle. So I did have that from the beginning, but I've learned so much from freestyle, especially like it was such an eye-opening sport to me, just because I've been going to school, I was going to a football club, being trained by a trainer, had somebody tell me every day that I needed to get up in the morning. And I was always told what to do in my life. And of course, when you're young, you are told what to do. But this was the first time that I had to decide myself, if I want to become better, I need to go out and train now, even though I don't want to, because I know that this is gonna make me better faster. And suddenly I had to structure everything myself, and I saw that I could be creative with the ball and decide everything myself. I didn't have anybody to tell me that if I do this, I will become better at that. I had to figure it out myself. So freestyle football definitely enhanced that and helped me develop more as a person and to become more creative and also open-minded to life in general, that I can actually do whatever I want and put my mind into, and to not always follow everybody else just because everybody else do it. That might not be right for you. So freestyle football definitely taught me a lot.
Love it. Thank you. And again, just so to talk a little bit more about the journey and some of your amazing experiences, like you've probably traveled more than most, let's say. You've been to every corner of the world with this, competing and filming and all sorts. Any highlights? So name some of the big things that you've really enjoyed because of freestyle.
That is way too hard, but yeah, I think it all depends, because first time I went abroad to meet some freestylers, that was a competition in Poland. Almost nobody in Poland there spoke English, and at that time it was a really frightening situation, and I was kind of afraid. I was like 14, 15 years old, and I didn't really know anybody other than from the internet. And back then it was not a really good experience, but looking back at it, it was a good experience because I learned so much from it. But also the first time I went to Prague for Super Bowl or the Open World Championship in 2010 and met a lot of freestylers then, that was really huge. And then on the other side, you have competitions like Rebel Street Style in Italy, Lecce. That was the first time I felt that I'm actually a professional athlete, because I think in freestyle football, there's a lot of people like me that look at this as a sport, and then you have the art form. And right now, I value both of them the same, but I was really an athlete, and I was looking at freestyle football as becoming the best athlete I could. And in Italy, Lecce, that was the first time, like Rebel Street Style World Final, when I qualified for that. That was the first time I felt that freestyle football is actually becoming professional. And then after that, I went to a lot of other events with the WFFA and just really realized that this is something you can make a living from, and this is such a big sport, and not only just a hobby that you can do back at home. You can actually become professional.
Cool. And you're ridiculously humble, so I'm going to name drop a few. I've seen you filming in LA, in New York, in Rio de Janeiro, in Tokyo, in Melbourne. You've been all over the place, so it's awesome to see. Okay, so moving on, one of your big developments is the development of the brand for freestyle. So you've created there an iconic brand for freestyle. See what you've done there with the name. Tell us a bit about that. What was the motivation there, and how is it looking? How is the business going for you?
Like in the beginning, it all started just because there was nobody actually developing gear for freestyle. You did have a few brands, but I didn't feel like they, not that I didn't take the sport seriously, it's just that, again, as an athlete, I was looking at football and football players having like really expensive boots, like quality products, and then you have, of course, cheaper models. I felt that what we had now was we had to look into the football community to buy their balls, to buy their shoes, and we kind of didn't really have much of an identity, and we were looking much looking a lot like football players. And then I thought that somebody must be able to develop gear that is specially made for freestylers, and that's pretty much how it started. And then from a football cup that I did an event at, was selling some balls with elastic string for kids. And I realized that when after I did my performance, when I was standing at their booths and signing balls and was related to them, they automatically wanted to buy the ball because they thought that if I use this ball, it must be really, really good. And that's also how I realized that we have a voice and people want to look at us. And that's also when I realized that I can't just make cheap, bad products, even though, of course, some of the products we have made are not always the best quality. We're always looking at improving and making the best possible gear. And it's always been about giving back to the community. So whenever we get money in, we have a community program where we give back to the local associations so they can use that money to help with hosting events. And also now with the off pitch, we named everything now off pitch, which is players off the pitch, freestylers, street football players. And for freestyle is all about giving back in a way of creating better gear for the athletes, but also giving back by trying to grow the community, both by the off pitch academy, which we might talk more about later on, and also just by helping the associations in the different countries to host events to promote the sport.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and you know, again, from our perspective, when I've seen it at all the events, you know, you've been investing time, money, effort, and building another community, isn't it, within it? But to see the ball being used everywhere is in particular what stands out. The ball and shoes, as you said, you know, they were clearly wanted and needed in the community. So it's awesome to see. And like you said, your voice now has grown even further. You've got over 500,000 now, is it, followers, I guess, across the main platform. So, you know, just to say something from your own voice is one thing, but when the community as a whole say it, there is a massive collective opportunity, isn't there, to inspire young people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, like you said, it's such an honor. It's so cool to see the freestylers actually using the gear, winning the top best competitions. You know, the world champions are using the ball and the shoes. And I think the shoes were maybe the most needed at the time. But just, I think also people, not only if Adidas make a product and we make a product, if it's similar as good, I think they would prefer our products or any of the other freestyle brands because it gives them an identity instead of being linked to football all the time, even though we want that. And to be honest, football have helped freestyle football so much. It's just that we also need our own identity, and also for people to understand that it's not that it's something magical with this ball. It's more just to give our sport a look and also to actually develop gear that is made for us. So it's meant that it's made for us. It's not made for football players, and then we use it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's move on to the I guess the detail of what I wanted to also feature in this conversation, which is how ultimately can we get the world active? How can we inspire the hundreds of thousands, the millions, why not one day, of young people around the world who love football, so they're already kicking a ball around and they're already probably trying to juggle. We all did it as children anyway. There's an education piece, first of all, which is realizing that freestyle exists because it's still underground in many ways. But there's a big thing around the motivation side, right? So going back to you as a child and how you adopted the sport and you just wanted to push yourself better. How do we do that? That's the big question. How do we inspire kids to learn from home with just a ball and maybe a bit of video? Let's maybe talk about the academy and your motivation there as well.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's first you need to educate them about freestyle football. And just like, I know that Spanish as a language exists and I wish I could learn it, but I'm not motivated to actually learn it. And in the same way with freestyle football, if the barrier is too high and you can't find the resources to learn it, it might be, and you also don't see the value in it, then there is no point in starting with this. So you see a lot of kids juggling, maybe doing around the world, and they know about freestyle football. But our job, I think, is to actually lay it out for them so it's as simple as possible. And to be able to do that, we have a lot of freestylers worldwide having their own local academies, which is maybe the most important thing, because then you get the one-to-one contact with them and they can actually see and be inspired live. But then again, in this situation, and also just, I remember when I started, I didn't have anybody around me that could start, and to give everybody the same opportunity, I thought it would be good to not only have, because we have YouTube with a lot of resources and tutorials, and that's a good thing. But if you then don't put the effort into actually searching and trying to understand the structure of freestyle football and how tricks are built up by each other, it can be way too much for somebody to take in, and then they just stop the process. But
the quality is different as well, right? Every video is different on YouTube, right? It's all over the place. So many accounts. So.
That's the thing. And then if you have instead an academy where you can log in, you see the structure, so you can go to basics, and then you understand what basics you should learn to be able to do these tricks, and then you have everything into sections. So my goal was to create an academy which is structured in a way for people that don't really know about freestyle to better understand how tricks are built and how they can learn it, and also for them then to easier understand their progress. And that's also why it was very important to us to launch the feature where you can track your own progress. So not only because when I started, it was kind of like a game in my head, but instead of having the game only in your head and just a lot of tricks like floating around, you landed this and that, you can actually track it within the academy. So whenever you felt that I mastered this trick or I've landed around the world, you can go into your own profile and just like add it to your library, and then you get some points, and then you go from beginner, and then there's 7 levels all the way to pro. So to try to gamify it, to make it more trackable and more fun, then people will both see their progress, but also it's easier for them to be motivated to learn.
So that functionality, that's all in there now already within the academy as to how it works, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. Okay. So you've done it. Okay. Job yeah. Done. Easy. No, but I think that's, we wanted to raise this as an awareness of it, and it is as simple as that. So ultimately the live experience, people interaction, as you said, will never die, and that's needed, and that's why there are teachers and coaches and parents who are active and very, very important in the development of their children's lives, but especially in football development. So yeah, let's hope that more people can use it. It's is there a subscription to join it?
It's totally free, so you only need to log in. So by Facebook, Google, or just an email, and then you're logged in. And yeah, just like you said, I think it's important to just lower the barriers, and also your slogan, all you need is a ball, is so important. And just back to creating for freestyle, even though we make professional gear, it's not like you have to buy a freestyle ball to become a freestyler. You can just pick up any ball in your garden or whatever you have. And then our gear is more for more professional athletes, or when you feel that you have been doing freestyle for a longer time, then you can buy it, because it might motivate you more and it might help you because it is a ball made for freestyle. But in the beginning, all you need is a ball. And then if you have the academy or somebody to help you, that will maybe help you improve faster.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm going to post all these links to you and what you've achieved, maybe some videos as well as you in action, but also importantly the academy link below this video. So please check that out, everyone who's watching. Also post any questions if you've got anything for Tobias himself, or you want to know more about the brand or the academy. Please post them away and we will respond as soon as possible. But yeah, otherwise, thank you so much for your time, Tobias. It's been inspiring to hear your words and your opinions on freestyle as a whole. And I hope more people can join up to learn with you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and remember, all you need is a ball.